Here comes the bride, I muttered under my breath as my stepsister Vanessa glided down the aisle in her designer gown, the same gown I'd funded, along with every other extravagant detail of this circus she called a wedding. Beside me, my mother squeezed my hand, her knuckles white. She knew what was coming. She'd sat with me as I drafted every clause of Vanessa's loan agreement, watched me log every dollar she'd begged for in the months leading up to today. Rebecca, Vanessa had whined back then, you're the only one with real money. Please, help me have the wedding I deserve. That's what family's for. Family, the same family that mocked my dull finance job while they bounced checks and maxed out cards. The same family that called me stingy while I quietly built a fortune. The same family now treating me like their personal ATM. The ceremony was a shrine to vanity. $20,000 for the venue, $15,000 on flowers, $8,000 for the gown. Every detail meticulously logged in my spreadsheets, interest rates, payment schedules, penalties, terms Vanessa had waved away without a glance. At the reception, Vanessa floated over, champagne in hand, cheeks flushed. Thanks for being my private bank, sis, she slurred, giggling. Who knew your boring job would finally pay off for me? My mother flinched. I simply smiled. Having fun? I asked. It's perfect, she spun, nearly spilling champagne on her overpriced dress. Everyone's obsessed with the flowers. Clara must be dying right now. Clara, her college nemesis. I'm glad you're enjoying it, I said evenly. You should, after all, you're footing the bill. She cackled, sloshing her drink again. Right, with my invisible money. Lucky me, I have you, loser. Now excuse me, I have to show off the centerpieces to the Martinez family. They thought I couldn't pull this off. As she staggered away, my mother turned to me, voice low. Are you really going to go through with it? I checked my phone. The first payment is due in exactly a month. Everything's signed, notarized, and binding. She thinks it was a gift, my mother whispered. She thinks a lot of things, I replied, watching Vanessa pose for photos she couldn't afford. That's her problem. The following weeks unfolded like clockwork. Vanessa and her new husband flaunted their Maldives honeymoon online, another expense I'd financed, another loan. They moved into their newly renovated home, also courtesy of me, and my airtight contracts. Exactly 1 month after the wedding, my assistant delivered the first invoice. Within minutes, my phone erupted. Vanessa, what is this? Dad, we need to talk. Stepmom, surely there's been a mistake. New husband, tell me you're joking. I was in my office when they burst in, Vanessa brandishing the invoice like a sword. 40% interest, she shrieked. This has to be a prank. I opened my desk drawer calmly and handed her the loan agreement, the one she'd signed while fussing over flower arrangements. Page 3, paragraph 2, I pointed, interest rate, payment schedule, late fees, collateral. Collateral? Her husband turned ghostly. What collateral? Your newly renovated house, I said, and the car, both secured against the loans. Vanessa collapsed into a chair, her designer outfit bunching awkwardly. But, we're family, she whispered. Exactly, I said, sliding over more papers, and family should read before they sign. Like this credit card application you filed last week, declined. Your debt-to-income ratio is through the roof now. You can't do this, Vanessa whispered, but for the first time, there was fear in her voice instead of entitlement. I can, I said evenly. Your first payment is due today. Cash, check, or wire, your choice. The silence in my office was suffocating. Linda, my stepmother, was the first to recover. Sweetie, she crooned, slipping into that syrupy condescension I'd endured since she married my father. Surely we can work something out. Family doesn't charge family interest. I turned my monitor so they could all see the spreadsheet open in front of me. Let's go over the numbers. Wedding venue, $20,000. Flowers, $15,000. Dress, $8,000. Catering, $12,000. Band, $5,000. Decorations, $7,000. Honeymoon, $18,000. House renovations, $85,000. New car, $45,000. Miscellaneous, $35,000. As I scrolled, their faces drained of color. Total borrowed, $250,000, with 40% annual interest, compounded monthly. Your first payment today, $8,333. 33. Mark, Vanessa's husband, looked ready to collapse. Yes, I confirmed, monthly, plus any late fees or penalties, as outlined in the agreement you both signed. But that's more than we make in a month, Vanessa wailed. Then perhaps, I said coolly, you should have considered that before borrowing $250,000 to impress people on Instagram. My father stepped forward, trying to reclaim authority. Rebecca, be reasonable, they just got married, they're starting their lives together. Starting with crushing debt was their decision, I said, just like mocking my career was theirs. How did you put it, Vanessa? Thank God for my boring stepsister, the ATM? She flinched, mascara running down her face. I was just joking, she stammered. Oh, were you joking when you told everyone at your wedding that I was your personal bank? Or when you bragged to the Martinez family about how you could afford it all, thanks to your rich, pathetic stepsister? My phone buzzed, legal team on standby, foreclosure papers prepared. You can't expect us to pay this, Mark protested weakly. It's impossible. I leaned back, folding my hands calmly. I do expect it, and if you check Section 7 of the loan agreement, you'll see that failure to pay results in immediate collection proceedings, including property seizure. Property seizure? Linda gasped. You'd actually take their house and car? I nodded, both secured against the loans. Did you think all those signatures were for flower arrangements? Vanessa broke down completely, sobbing into her designer sleeves. Why are you doing this to us? She choked. I'm not doing anything, I said softly. I'm enforcing a legal agreement, the same way I built my boring career, by understanding contracts and consequences. My father tried a last gambit. How about a lower rate, something fair? Fair, I echoed, opening another document, like when you borrowed for Linda's medical bills, that was 3%, because you read the contract and made a plan, or Tommy's college loan, 5%, because he provided a budget and repayment schedule. They stared at me, stunned. Risk determines rate, I explained. Vanessa's spending habits, credit score, and lack of responsibility made her a high-risk borrower, hence 40%. But we can't pay it, Vanessa sobbed. You have options, I said evenly. Sell the house, move somewhere smaller, return the car, cancel that country club membership you just signed up for. Or what? Mark croaked, clinging to hope. Or, I said, leaning forward, voice quiet but sharp, we renegotiate, but under new conditions. They all leaned in desperately. First, I raised one finger, you both complete a financial management course, one that I choose. Second, you meet with my financial advisor to create a realistic budget. Third, you stop living beyond your means and trying to outshine people like the Martinezes. That's it? Linda asked, her voice sharp with suspicion. I turned to Vanessa. No, you also publicly admit to everyone, including your social media followers, exactly how you funded this lifestyle. No more pretending you're some self-made queen. No more mocking my career choices. Vanessa's carefully curated world unraveled over the following weeks. Her glossy Instagram feed of designer gowns and luxury trips gave way to uncomfortable reality. Her first confession post read like a public flogging. Time for some truth. My recent lifestyle, the dream wedding, the Maldives honeymoon, the new house, was all funded by loans from my stepsister, the same boring financial analyst I used to mock. Now I'm learning financial responsibility the hard way. #realitycheck #financial literacy. The comments came fast and vicious. Claire Martinez, wait, it was all borrowed? Former bridesmaids, guess that's why the interest was so high. College friends, wow, talk about a wake-up call. A message from my financial advisor pinged on my phone. Your stepsister and her husband just completed their first budget planning session. It was illuminating. I smiled, thinking of my own slow journey from penny pincher to investor. Hard lessons, but lessons worth learning. At the next family dinner, the shift was unmistakable. No designer gowns, no flashy jewelry. Vanessa and Mark arrived in a practical used Honda, a stark contrast to the BMW they'd once flaunted. How was the financial class? I asked, passing the bread. Vanessa toyed with her fork. Humiliating. We had to share our spending breakdowns with everyone. When I told them I spent $15,000 on wedding flowers, the instructor nearly fell out of his chair. She admitted, he calculated what that money would look like in a retirement account. It was horrifying. Mark nodded. He showed us we could have built a solid nest egg instead. We really needed that reality check. My father cleared his throat. Rebecca, about renegotiating the interest rate. Have they met every condition? I asked, already knowing the answer. Vanessa took a breath. Yes, the public post, the classes, the budget, and I've started job hunting. That was new. Oh? The advisor said we'd need 2 incomes to cover even the reduced payments. I have an interview at Morton Financial next week for a client services role. I raised an eyebrow. Morton Financial was no joke, rigorous, respected. Impressive, I said. Vanessa managed a small, genuine smile. I figured if my boring stepsister could succeed in finance, maybe I could too. Linda nearly dropped her fork. Are you serious, honey? I'm being realistic, Vanessa said quietly. For the first time ever, probably. I pulled out my tablet and opened the new agreement. In that case, let's talk new terms. The numbers were still big, but reasonable: 8% interest, extended term, strict budget compliance. Monthly payments will be $2,800, I explained. If you stick to your plan, it's doable once Vanessa starts working. That's generous, Mark said hesitantly. It's conditional, I corrected. 1 missed payment, 1 luxury splurge, 1 hidden account, and we revert to the original 40%. We understand, Vanessa said. We really do this time. Over the next year, I watched her transform. The designer wardrobe was gone, sold to chip away at the debt. Her feed turned into candid posts about budgeting, debt payoff, and small milestones. She even started a blog chronicling her journey from reckless spender to responsible adult. One afternoon, she showed up at my office unannounced. For a moment, I braced myself for bad news. I got promoted, she said breathlessly, junior account manager at Morton, and I wanted to show you something. She handed me a spreadsheet, clean, detailed, professional, spending, savings, debt reduction. I did this myself, she said, eyes bright. I used everything I learned from those classes, and from you. We're actually ahead on our payments now. I scanned the numbers, genuinely impressed. This is solid work, I said, meticulous, smart. I learned from the best, she replied, her voice steady. I just didn't see it before. Looking at her, simple blouse, practical shoes, confidence earned through effort rather than shopping sprees, I realized something had finally shifted.